Yes, yes, here we are. So I want to say welcome to our Alumni Ambassador and Leadership Development Series. This is the very first event on a series of events. We have five throughout the academic year, or excuse me, for the fall semester specifically, and then we'll have another five for the spring. But this is the first opportunity to engage with our alumni ambassadors from different areas, and you'll hear where they're from and what program they were a part of very soon. But my name is Jermaine Clark. I'm the Associate Director for Graduate Student Engagement, and we are excited for you as current students to learn from some of our former students, now alumni, who have dedicated their time, uh, volunteered to really share insights, give a bit of where they have been since they've left Robinson, where they are now, and where they're planning to go. But we have an initial question that we will ask them, of course, in the theme of a day in the life. But please feel free throughout today to ask questions, and you'll have an opportunity after their introductions in that very first question. So, without any further ado, I would like to start by having our alumni ambassadors introduce themselves. And Kayla, I'll start with you.
All right. My name is Kayla Pierre-Louis. So I graduated from the Robinson College of Business with a Master's of Science in Information Systems. My concentration was digital innovation, and I graduated May 2024. So it's been a little bit over a year. I work at a company called Alight Solutions. So we do cloud-based software, and we specialize in HR management for every company you can think of, whether it's a Lowe's. My client personally is the US. We do their federal HR based stuff, their work, and we work with their agencies and we deal with their benefits management. So all that data that they're getting as far as the participant's age, how much they're contributing, and also applying those TSP and IRS laws, we make sure that's all fitting well within the system and it's running smoothly. I previously was on like a client management team, so I spoke with various payroll agencies, and then I was able to bump up once I was starting my program into the reporting and analytics side. So we handle a lot of that operations piece, KPIs, making sure we're meeting our deadlines, tracking if anything as far as financial stuff is kind of looking a little strange. And we also deal a lot with, sometimes I do some coding, like a little bit of SQL, but a lot of that is like the reporting piece and communicating those numbers to different stakeholders and stuff like that. So that's what I do.
So thank you, Kayla. We'll go next to Latrenda. If you can share or introduce yourself.
Sure. Good morning, Jermaine. Good morning, everyone. My name is Latrenda Dumas. I was a part of the graduate program for, and I received my master's in health administration back in May of 2020, the COVID year. So I currently work at Piedmont Healthcare. I actually just transitioned to Piedmont Healthcare maybe about 60 days ago. So my current role is I work still in the revenue cycle space, but operation effectiveness. So pretty much project management and workflow efficiency.
Okay. Thank you so much, Latrenda. We'll have Saman and then Neil.
Thank you so much, Jermaine. Hi, everyone. My name is Saman Fatima, and I graduated from MSIS. The concentration for me was cybersecurity back in summer of 2023. It's been good 2 years that I have graduated from GSU, and yeah, it's really good to be connected with the Alumni Ambassadors group and help in any ways possible. So I am currently in Dallas, Texas, working with EY as a senior consultant, and I work with a retail client where I handle most of their audits and policies and a lot of other things related to their identity and access management. So that was something I did it as part of my master's, and I then pursued it as part of EY. It's been good 2 years. Like I'll complete 2 years with EY this year, and I'd be happy to share if anyone want to be part of EY to the consulting agency, like as part of the Big Four, or if you are part of cybersecurity, I'd be able to help you best here. So thank you.
Look at that. Opportunities already starting. Appreciate that, Saman. If Neil, if you can go ahead.
My name is Nil Kalagolu. That's how you actually pronounce my last name, but everyone calls me Nil. So I have graduated in December of 2024 from the MSDA program, Master of Science in Data Analytics. And actually had my MBA from an institution in Europe in 2006. And I have quite a bit of work experience behind me. I had come to United States this time around to catch up on the train of AI. It had already taken off, let me put it that way, when I started my master's. And my intention initially was to go back to business after my master's. However, the job market being what it is, and me having successfully interned as a data analyst during the summer of my master's, I continued working full-time as a consulting strategic analyst with no exact title really that anyone can call me by, but they're really benefiting from me. Yeah. So in the same company, basically in the full-time role. So I am working kind of in a way where I bring all of my past experience to identify really hairy projects and things that nobody wants to touch, because I work at a company who grew so fast they couldn't do tidying while they were growing. So they have a mess of data, a lot of opportunities, but they're only able to deal with daily requirements and operations. So I take a strategic look. I identify large projects, and because there's nobody else to actually manage those, I also embark on them, putting them in line, and I deliver basically those things that they have neither capacity nor a department nor the time to deliver. Basically, that's what I do. So I carved myself a full-time role from what I have been given there. And that's basically my day-to-day responsibility.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And just to kick off, the title of this session is A Day in the Life. So, Kayla, if you could start by telling us what a typical day looks like in your particular role.
Sure. So I am what's considered a processing specialist, which is the work in operations. And we know the difference between operations and project management. Projects are temporary work, and then the handoff from whatever the project has been created or whatever the new piece of whatever the deliverable is, the management of that and focusing on that and making sure it's running every day. That's the process. So I work in that arena. Um, my day can look like maybe getting in 7, 8 a.m. and we have a lot of reports that are due by market cutoff, right? Which is 12 p.m. because we deal with financial services. Because again, we're dealing with with people's money. So you guys know what a 401k plan is, I'm assuming. The equivalent of that in the government, the US government, is the TSP plan. So these are hardworking people, whether they're civilians, federal employees, uniformed employees, and they want to make sure that their money is going to the right place and it's meeting those same financial laws as anything else. So that gets sent in with every contribution, which is a piece of whatever money they get, they contribute it to the TSP. And we have certain reports that we want to have run by market cutoff and certain events that need to be done in participants' accounts. And it's like over 1 million people's accounts. So my piece is I'm not going into each account, that's done automatically, but we're tracking to make sure that the information, whatever work that needs to be done by then is being done, and we're tracking our KPIs. And that's a lot of what I do. I look at the reports, analyze them, send them off. If anything looks astray, maybe we're seeing more breakage than whatever our threshold is, then I have to sound the alarms, is whatever they say. Also managing a 12 p.m. report that if anything is missing on that or doesn't run correctly, that's a financial issue on our end, because again, it's in that SLR KPIs piece, and our company would be fined $40,000. So a lot of that, it ties into all of that. That's what I do. So pre-market cutoff, pre-12 p.m. Eastern, a lot of work to do. And then after that, I work a lot in process improvement. So certain processes that could be fleshed out, improved. That's something that I take on. We have a continuous improvement initiative each year, and I'll add things on there that I think could be easier, because maybe it's just me. I like to do stuff efficiently. And if it's taking too long and I could find a way to cut that down, that's what I'm going to do. And we have so many tools at my company that might not be used or certain kind of capacities that we're not doing, that anytime I see an opportunity for that, I'm, reaching out to batch or tech and saying, hey, can we improve this report? Can we make this automatic? Things like that. So that's what I do. We do the reports. We also find ways to get the reports if they need to be run automatically, monitoring that, controlling that, and executing where needed. That's what I do.
Thank you so much for that, Kayla. Yeah, as you probably see on the day-to-day, what our students will probably not realize is that the money that's tied to daily work. So thank you for referencing that, because it may seem as if particular roles are just a part of the process, but there's true financial implications that are attached to each of our roles. So thank you for pointing that out. Latrenda?
Yes, thank you. So I work in the revenue cycle space, revenue cycle management realm. And so in my previous role, I was in a leadership role, but I did not have direct reports. In this current role, I currently have direct reports, so it's a little bit different. So my day to day, it varies each and every day. I work completely remote, and so sometimes I have meetings where I don't have to turn the camera, and other times I have meetings that I do have to turn the camera. So each day I have some type of business top sitting at my desk, to where when I do have to put that business top on, I just change it out before turning on the camera. That's literally every day. To prepare for my day, I have a calendar that I just kind of task out each hour, like what's going on. I try to block off time to read emails, block off time to I have weekly staff meetings with my employees. And so I kind of work on a twofold side. So in revenue cycle, you have the hospital billing side of the house and you have the professional billing. I'm on the professional billing, which pretty much are your physician practice groups. So I have two-part fold in my role. So part of my role is with the professional billing side of the house. There is not a centralized department for registration. On hospital billing, you have patient access, who does all the registration, the insurance eligibility, so forth and so on. PB side of the house, we don't have that. And so a part of my job is for Piedmont, there's over 400 physician practice groups. And so my team, along with some other, a manager and his team, we break the physician practice groups by the specialty. There are probably about 24 specialty groups. So each one of my team members are assigned a specialty group, and we have to literally do all the training for the front end revenue cycle. So that includes registration, insurance verification, pre-approvals, and then looking at claim errors. So that's training, and then we have monthly meetings where we do report out to look at the KPIs, look at opportunities for improvement, take on projects. So that's one side of the house. The other side of the house is the TV operational team. What we do there, we do more of the process improvement, workflow efficiency, do current state, future state as it relates to different processes, and working with IT and putting in bills within Epic. That's kind of what I do on a day to day. Never the same.
Absolutely. I know there are some roles that do require, similar processes in the morning and in the afternoon, but it sounds like yours is very dynamic in a sense where you don't know might show up on your desk that morning. And you have to be ready both physically if you need to get on camera, and then of course otherwise if you're handling projects and also staff. So thank you for sharing that, Latrenda. We'll go to Saman and then Neil.
Thanks, Jermaine. So I am in the central time zone, so my day starts sharp at 8 a.m., something between 8 to 8:30 a.m., because I have to match it up with my clients and other team members sitting on the Eastern Coast, like the East Coast timing. With that being said, the morning hours is basically for meetings, for stand-ups, and just to connect with folks. And since I do have teams sitting back in different other countries as well, so you get that, some time to actually connect with them and hop on a call and, do all sorts of things to discuss, like to go through the day. Since I am more towards the client-facing side, so a lot of, discussions in terms of strategy, in terms of, connecting with a lot of folks from internal controls or the audit teams, and then reviewing the current policies of the firm, and then taking it and advising a lot of things. So that basically takes turn during the afternoon. Yes, it does include a lot of meetings with escalations, with a lot of complaints from end users, and tackling all those things, because as consultants, we are actually like supporting the client side and taking full leadership. But yeah, we do go through approvals for a lot of things, but we're managing a lot of things for the client there. And with that being said, my day ends at like 5 in the evening, like 5 Central. That is equivalent to 6 Eastern. The evenings are usually quieter because it's more of like you have more time to focus on individual issues, tickets, troubleshooting, or anything related to that, and work on all those things. But the mornings are usually very chaotic. And with my current role, I do also get some kind of travel as well. So I am in a hybrid role, so I do get to travel to the office, but at times I do have to, in once every quarter or once every 2 months, we are needed to go to the client side and, have those discussions and plannings or anything of that sort to be better prepped for the next quarter. This is more like on the client side, but I do work for EY as well. So with that being said, I do work alongside with my EY folks to create new proposal drafts or presentations or anything of that sort, to have other clients as well part of EY, and so that we can handle them as well. If same kind of process we're following for a different client, we try to pitch it to the other clients as well, depending on what are their requirements. So that takes most of the time as well, to work on the proposal, to work on a lot of engagement letters and a lot of other things, that how can we pitch our, activities, our strong areas to another client, so that we can have them as well part of the EY family. So I work for technically 2 firms. So I just divide my day between all of these things. But yeah, priority comes towards the client. Thank you.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you for that. That is interesting to see the dynamic between client service and also leadership in your regard. And having to balance what EY needs versus what the client needs.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, my payroll gets generated from EY itself. So you have to be, sticking to that firm. Correct.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you for that. Nil?
Well, my days, depending on which phase of what I am, differ from each other. So I worked on projects that require a bit of work on your own or within your own team. I am a part of the spend analytics team, and we have a lot of data, but we don't manage the data. Data is managed by the data team, who sits mostly in India, or in our India office. And we have member advisors who actually try to pitch different, I'm not going to go into the details of a GPO Plus company. We are a GPO Plus company, where we help actually companies to benefit from group purchasing. And there is a lot of data behind that to allow them to realize savings. May it be through changing to different products under different programs, may it be through SKU consolidation, which is shifting to different SKUs that will save them money, basically. But within this group, I sit at the center of where all the data sits on one hand side and managed by a data team, and then the members and member advisors, who actually act mostly on the dashboards they see, on the insights we create for them. So we are in the center place, and most of my team before I got here was trying to create responses to daily requests. Okay, and our data was in a very messy format. So most of my projects have been kind of started by me, actually, by identifying certain needs, like a standard categorization across the whole company. And after a long process, which my internship was mostly spent on, I really forced the idea of using UNSPSC codes, for example. And application of UNSPSC codes for categorization across PA, across all of our different businesses, is a project of mine. Another project is, for example, that I am working on our packaging practice. is receiving awful data from our suppliers and processing it in a way that is outdated, which results in wrong mapping. So we have a poor database, and that database doesn't allow us to do price impact analysis going forward. So I created this project which encompasses everything and more of what I said that will result in a very actionable product. So these type of projects require me to work both by myself or within my team, but also with the people who are outside of my team, like the data team. And the leader of the data team, for example, we don't build project teams with the project manager in charge. We work on projects by engaging different departments and having to convince for each action the leader of that department. It is not the most efficient way of working, but that means I have to do a lot of different interactions with that department and the leaders of that department. So my day would really depend on whether I have to do that on that day or not. Because if I am talking to somebody who is quite senior in a different department who has a lot of authority over the future of my project, then what I do is, even though I have negotiated myself as a remote worker, I work from home, but I will go in if it's someone who is in the office. If it's someone I haven't met before, I will go in. I will make sure that I shake the hand of that person. I can give him confidence to trust me with the project and that I will deliver what I say. And he knows that I mean business, right? So my day-to-day will depend. Or if I'm meeting with someone from India, that means I have a very early meeting and that I have to be really prepared. And I am learning right now, for example, for this gentleman that I need to convince over there, I don't need to write anything, but I need to draw things. He wants everything in drawings. So literally, if you prepare a nice project scoping report for him, he's not going to read it. He will tell me to bring it to him in a drawing. So I am going back to the drawing board, literally. Before I dialed in, I was drawing and I was just hating it. Oh my God, this is so inefficient, but I have to do it. So anyway, my work depends on how do I jump the hurdles that have stood in front of this project that I'm sure someone must have thought of it before. They knew this was necessary. Yes, they knew, but they also thought it would be awfully difficult to do because it was just so many people to convince and no one wants to start something when they see so many hurdles. Now, one thing about me, which I leverage, is I think everything is doable. You just need to start. And then you just move one step at a time. One is bigger than zero. So that's what I do and I deliver. And, if I'm working just by myself comfortably, like today, I don't have meetings, great. That is just, I can do laundry in the meantime real quick and I can just do drawing. I can get into the zone, get out of it. I decide. And the good thing is if I work very efficiently, I clock off at 4:30. Because in my life, the most important thing is physical activity. I go to the gym almost every day. I do judo and boxing. I recommend both of them to everyone. And so my priority is my dog, my athletic life, and then doing great at my job,
Awesome.
And I also coach my younger team members. That is an important thing. I try to add value by being there for them because I have also life experience. So some part of my work is about coaching. Even my own director, he likes to brainstorm with me about the hurdles he's facing because I am very also dependable in a sense. So that is part of my duty as well, to bring all of my experience in work and life to the team and to do it with great pleasure.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for that. I think a lot of what I heard is the importance of communication in your role and how the way you communicate and the way you present yourself to your clients or whether it's your colleagues, they see something in you that develops or at least enhances the amount of trust they have in you. So that's something that our students definitely need to hear. But I do want to kind of open it up for questions. I see one from Charlene. I'll let you ask that. And then if there aren't, think of some more questions, students that are on the call if you haven't. If not, we have some questions for our group as well. So Charlene?
Hi, this question is for Latrenda, and I'm glad we have actually a MHA alum here because I'm brand spanking new, so I really do need some guidance. I'm very interested in hospital operations and in that sort of department, right? I know that you probably report the COO, and I'm kind of trying to understand what I know I took a quick look at your background. I see you have a CR certification. So for those who don't know, it's revenue cycling. Is that something that you feel everyone in sort of your kind of section or under your COO should have some background in? Is this something I should put on my list in terms of associations and certifications I pursue?
Sure, Sally, great question. So I guess the bigger question would be if you're wanting to get into revenue cycle or if you're wanting to get into finance. They are two totally
Uh,
different things. Some people confuse them. There are some, interchanges between the two, but those are two different tracks. So revenue cycle is dealing with more of, from scheduling the patient all the way to, the hospital or physician practice being paid and all the in between. And then if there's some type of denial, then trying to resubmit the claim to get paid. So revenue cycle is pretty much non-facing. Sometimes PAS does patient-facing. For the most part, it's not patient-facing. So revenue cycle, we're trying to get the money in. Finance is more on we're trying to do the budgeting, we're trying to do forecasting. We're looking at more data analytics. There's processes. I mean, there are parts of revenue cycle we do data analytics as well, but finance is more on the budgeting and forecasting side. So revenue cycle is not one of those. Honestly, a lot of people don't know about them. I honestly fell into revenue cycle. It wasn't something I woke up and thought I wanted to be a part of. I was more on the operational, administrative side of the house for healthcare, but I love it. Wouldn't go back. And so if you are considering revenue cycle and want to understand the different processes, because it is a front, middle, and back side of the whole cycle, if you're wanting to understand that, then I would definitely suggest you take the CRCR certification. I am part of HFMA. For people who don't know what that is, that's Healthcare Financial Management Association. So if anyone on this call is looking to get into revenue cycle or finance, that is a great professional organization to join. I'm actually on the board for that. So if you are looking to join that, and we have student scholarship opportunities, and I can speak to you offline about it. But I would say if you are thinking about revenue cycle, the CRCR is definitely a certification to take because it's just a high overview level of the whole revenue cycle. Cycle.
Thank you so much. That was like a perfect explanation. I'd never heard
You're
of it.
welcome.
I totally am
Yeah,
interested in it, so I am going to follow up. Thank you.
you're welcome.
Thank you, Charlene. We have another question from Ananya.
Yeah,
Hopefully I pronounced that right.
Ananya is good. Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you all for doing this. This is a great session. Looking forward to the rest of them, Jermaine. So thank you. And I'm actually an MSIS student from the digital innovation concentration. So Kayla, I will be connecting with you. But my question is actually for Neil. So in the beginning, you said that you carved your own role. So you started as an intern at your company and you carved your own role. So I found that really fascinating. And how did you have that conversation with your employer to define your role? And how did you really approach that process, I guess?
That's a very good question, actually. Thanks for asking that, Ananya. I guess it comes also with experience that you know what you're good at and what you like and what you don't like and where you're going to be successful. So when I actually interned, I attended a lot of trainings and I was interning at the start within the member advisory team, which you can actually, it's similar to being in a sales team, right? And I realized that this team was not being able to perform as good as they ought to because they did not have access to a lot of insights. And looking at the big picture, I identified some projects and spoke about these potential opportunities to get better insights with the leader of the MA team, with the head of the MA team, the VP. It was totally the wrong person to talk to, but he got happy about it. And eventually, as I wanted to get these projects rolling, I figured that I was ending up talking to people that are completely not related to my own team. And in fact, there was a huge gap in between, which made me realize, okay, now I can go back and forth these two teams. But this work that I am trying to is actually, if it falls under anybody's scope, it's that other team. So when it came to renew my internship, like after the summer, the fall internship, I switched teams by talking to the person who is the high level person of that other team that I am supposed to be at, because I had a good relationship, talking relationship from the beginning with everyone. So I spoke about them and I identified these projects as being really useful and helpful. She said, "Oh yeah, these are great. We know we have to do these. It's just they're so hairy. No one wants to touch them. And if you want to, start working on them, great." So I continued my internship now in that other team and started learning about that other team's roles and what they do, which actually changed the shape of my projects. Because I now knew the sales side, I knew now this that my own team who works on the inside side, I realized that the work had to start all the way from the data part. So, by continuous communication and prioritization and being able to really leverage what I learned at GSU, that was amazing. I can really go and hug Professor Motevali for the data. I actually was able to identify the root cause of some of the problems that we were encountering, and I proposed them in a way where I could also show how I would deliver results. So I gained credibility, because once you nobody wants you to point out problems. People usually know their problems. That's the worst thing you can do. The moment you show them a problem, you also need to show how you can solve it. People care about your solution. So I didn't come up with a problem. I came with a solution about this is what it should be like. Right now we have this, and I can close the gap. And I created little illustrations of sample work. Even if I couldn't, for example, do the whole work because I didn't access, I made up numbers. I made up a case where I delivered the results without any of the information in it being correct, because I didn't have access at that time to the correct information. So it started slowly. By the time I started full-time in January, I was already leading the UNSPSC code project, and I was working on smaller projects for our government spending arm, delivering dashboards. I did some benchmark tracking thing, which is at the beta phase of testing right now, which nobody thought would ever see this day. But yeah, small wins on top of which you build, and you have to demonstrate that you will deliver. And you kind of move on into this. The thing is, the thing you create, the role you carve to yourself must be something that is necessary for the organization you're in. That's how you identify whether you're in a right place or not. Because if you don't see yourself carving into something that they need, well, you can't expect them to put value on something you give to them if they don't need it, right? So that is very important. And then you have to deliver. That is the other, never overpromise and underdeliver. Underpromise, overdeliver. It's so important when you're trying to gain. See, my whole power here in this company, they know I am looking for another job. This was our agreement from the beginning, because the role I really wanted doesn't exist here. So it's never, I will not be able to even carve it out, so they know everything, but it is completely honest. It is very hard. It's from our hearts that we try to help each other. I try to do my best by them. They try to do their best by me. So this is just like as good as it gets, unless you actually found your dream job somewhere. So,
Thank you so
hope that
much.
helps. Yeah.
Yes, thank you so much. That was great.
Absolutely. Thank you. Ravi has a question. Ravi.
Yes. Thank you for all the panelists. All your advice has been awesome. Now that you've been in your roles for a while, what are some technical skills that you're wanting to continuously learn to do your job better?
Yeah, let's start Kayla or Saman, and then we'll get to Nil and Latrenda.
Okay. I can go first. Thank you so much, Ravi, for that question. With my current role, we need to keep up with the technology as well, because that is something really important. And I want to also say one more thing, that I work for a retail client and I audit them. But the auditing structure, strategy, and how does it flows through may vary if you change the categorization. Like, for example, if you go to a bank and see the audit process, that would be exactly upside down to what we do with the retail process. And also, if you are, wanting to stay in audit and, understand more through it, there are certain things that you can go forward with. First is try to understand what audit strategies your particular organization or the client organization is actually following through. It can be NIST, it can be PCI DSS, it could be anything. These are just jargon words for a lot of non-tech folks. But you just need to understand what is being followed and then go through the documentation. There are multiple versionings of all these governance protocols and policies as well, but you have to understand which one your organization is following and probably start from there and then go from it. For audit, you can go for the ISACA certification, which is the CISA, which certifies you as an auditor. It requires a lot of time, which I'm also like dealing up with studying so that, I can get that certification for myself and obviously pitch more things, which, if I compare myself with some other person who already has done it, might think more in terms of how I may not think it. Apart from that, because you audit some internal structures in the organization, so you need to go through the technical and the business languages of how it's actually built through. So I audit only the identity and access management setup. So it includes OAuth, includes AD, Azure, and a lot of other things which are set up. So that is totally like up to you how your organization has set it up, and you go through them and understand, because you need to, first understand how it's set up, and then only you can audit and find issues or evidences or anything going from there. So when we talk about high vulnerabilities, low vulnerabilities, obsolete versioning, all of these things, you need to better understand your system first and then go by it. And that will open a lot of channels for you to understand, okay, I need to understand more what is, for example, MCAT or anything else. So that should be my advice for everyone, coming from personal experience.
Thank you. Kayla?
Yeah, I was just going to say that was a very good point. For me, I have been doing like background because I plan on pivoting into project management. So, certified Scrum Master, that's stuff that you can get as you're at the school, but also your CAPM, which is your Certified Associate in Project Management. I recommend that because it breaks down all the process groups that are in project management, and it also gives you an understanding of the business analysis piece, like how to make sure you're getting your earned value, like what your earned value metrics are. And, when you're dealing with the organization, they're looking at the numbers a lot. And sometimes you have to justify why a project needs to be this way. When it comes to planning, as far as cost, time, scheduling, you want to make sure that you understand that. And I think that's a really good certification to have. And then I would also say in my own organization, in most people's organizations, they might have some town hall meetings. You hear about your colleague town halls, and they have the emails that are sent out that nobody reads, but I would recommend reading them or skimming them at least, because in our last town hall, and I'm not one to go to a town hall for no reason, but I just had the time, I found out the different AI initiatives that they're working on, right? And what that looks like is, and what does that look like for my kind of role? What the goals are for the organization. For our organization, it's getting more clients and then maintaining the clients that we're already having, and looking how AI, because every client is interested in AI, even if they don't know how to apply it, they're curious on how this could be applied for them. And for my organization, with the cloud-based HR management, benefits management kind of software, they want to see, okay, how can we get this done? How can that affect the pricing of it and all that kind of stuff? So go and attend those town halls and see what they are looking for as far as the kind of things that they're honing in on as far as their strategic objectives. And then maybe your company doesn't have, okay, like this is a step-by-step on like what kind of AI tools we're using or what we're looking for. My company is even doing a thing where they want people to submit ideas for cloud-based or like HR, AI use cases and stuff like that. Maybe your company doesn't have the specifics on that, but there's a lot of similar companies that maybe they don't do the exact same thing, but they might have some work out there. I know Salesforce, they have Trailhead modules that is very good, and that are very good, and they have a lot of stuff that you can learn as far as like different AI initiatives if you're dealing with that cloud-based management or software as a service kind of platform. So I would recommend that as well. But really look into whatever organization you're interested in or at, what they're kind of doing. would be a good idea.
Thank you, Kayla. We actually have a question from Victor, so I'll open it up for Victor.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for sharing your experiences. I have a general question for anyone. So, as we work through our programs, and we may all be in different programs, what are some soft skills that you have seen maybe from recent grads that they didn't fully develop during the programs, and mistakes that we probably should avoid coming right out after we get our degree, and we're saying, hey, I'm an MBA now. What are some mistakes that you've seen, or maybe that you made right after getting your degree? Oh, I'm super smart now, I own the world. But in reality, there's a lot whether we need still to work on. So, what have you seen from other people, other colleagues that you may have worked with in the past that we should probably avoid, and we should work on improving as students?
We'll go. Thank you for that, Victor. We'll go Latrenda, and then Nil, and then Latrenda.
I just had an answer. This is
Yeah.
So I tried to share it with my younger colleagues while I was at school. Even then, that I have seen my colleagues get angry when they did not get back the appreciation that they thought was due to them by the companies that do hiring, and get frustrated. But let's be realistic. Right now, the job market is awful, and the hiring processes are far from ideal in many cases, and you don't even get a proper rejection after you have interviewed multiple rounds in a company. This is the reality of the world. Dwelling on that, dwelling on the negatives, and dwelling on your rejections, or dwelling on why people didn't act the way you thought they ought to act, is not going to bring anything to you. And all you can do is do your best, try different things. When you hit a wall, go and find a place without a wall. Try to keep. So, one thing that I could tell to anyone, regardless of their age, position, is resilience. And I think the word is, correct me if I'm wrong, but grit.
Yeah,
absolutely.
absolutely.
It is such an important thing to currently be a healthy individual. Okay, so that would be my one recommendation. Don't take anything that is happening out there as a reflection of your personality or your ability. Have grit and resilience, know your own value, work on improving your value. When you hit a hurdle, stop, rethink, find a path that doesn't have a hurdle. All you need to do to arrive at the sea is you don't need to find the sea and see the sea. Just if you keep going downhill at every choice that is presented to you, if you end up going more downhill, then you go uphill. One day you arrive at the sea. That's the law of nature. So, one has to trust that. And I wish I could have shared this with everybody that I have studied with while I was there, because I have seen different people get really upset and sad at different times. But I think that is important. Also for me, I have fallen into these traps myself, but during those times, I reminded myself of these lessons and pulled myself out. When my hopes were shattered or whatever, when these things happen to everyone. And but we can get over it. We can get over it, and I think that's important.
So good, thank you. Does Latrenda or anyone else have anything to add to that? We do have one more question after this, but
Yeah, I'll make it quick, Jermaine.
Yeah.
So I've been part of the Alumni Ambassador Program, I believe, for 5 years. And I think I probably say the same thing. And I actually have grown, even with what I'm about to speak. And that has definitely helped me to matriculate into the different roles, 5 years past graduation. I would say your brand, understanding your brand, understanding your work. Right now with the job and how volatile it is right now, the biggest thing that you're going to need on your side is not just your degree, but you're going to need certifications. And the biggest thing is networking. The reason why I'm in the role that I'm in right now, which I've currently been in this role for 60 days, is because someone was able to vouch for me. Someone was able to speak on my name in rooms that I wasn't a part of. So even during the interview process, it really wasn't an interview. It was more of a conversation. So really the biggest thing I would say is really hone in on your networking skills, hone in on knowing your brand pitch, your elevator pitch speech, as they call it, and being able to kind of just walk into those rooms and dominate those rooms and understanding what you're asking for and ask particular questions because you may not always have enough time. You may only have 2 minutes to make a lasting impression on someone.
And I just want
Thank you.
um
Oh, yeah, please. Yes.
So what I would say is a few things. Like I love this question so much because I mean, Nil, you hit it on the head with, especially we already understand what this job market is right now. And I have a position, but I've been looking to pivot. And don't give yourself a timeline after you graduate to get a new job. That is literally the worst thing you could do. Like you could have a goal for it, but don't give yourself a timeline and be open to continuously learning and also get creative, right? So get those certifications, definitely network, but look where you can volunteer. And I know you're going to say, maybe I don't have the time for it, but look where you can volunteer and maybe even do free work as far as project stuff that you can have reflected on your LinkedIn or on your resume. And also that's a networking piece as well. So get creative. Like maybe you don't get a project management internship, or maybe you don't get a data analytics internship. There's data everywhere. There's projects everywhere. And maybe you could work with a local church or a local mosque, or maybe you could work with a local nonprofit and see, hey, you know what? I'm getting my degree in this, and I would love to see if there's any way that I can help you guys manage your data, or is there anything that I can help you with? Pitch an idea that you can come to and be creative, and you'll be surprised how many people are like, yeah, that's cool. Actually, I never thought of that. And you're offering free work. Who's going to turn down free work? I promise you, nobody.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for that, Kayla. We do have a few questions. I'm hoping we can get to them all. But Jawan, do you want to share your question?
Hi, everyone. My name is Juan. I'm in the Information Systems program with a concentration in cybersecurity. I have a more specific question. This is for Saman. And I was wondering, from your personal experience, was there any particular certification that you feel helped stand out to potential employers? Because I know that for cybersecurity in particular, certifications are kind of a bigger deal. And also, when you were seeking full-time roles, do you feel that your more entry-level part-time or internship experience helped you more, or was it the certifications?
Thanks for that question, Joanne. So just to answer first, I wanted to explain I do have 5 years of prior work experience back from my home country, that is India, and then I moved in 2022 for my master's. So I had experience, but that is something not countable in United States because it's more of from another country. But I just played on it somehow. There were organizations that were giving me entry-level jobs, but there were organizations who were pitching me for experienced roles because I had that 5 years of experience. So it was like a fair share where few of them were considering and few of them weren't. But I was okay with it, like how everyone just a minute back said, like I was open to any kind of role, just I wanted to get that opportunity. In terms of certification, I did have mentioned in a lot of like sessions before, as well as part of Alumni Ambassadors, if it's something that fits your pocket to pay for that certification, or if you're getting like, some kind of scholarship and you get to sit for that exam for free, you just have to prepare, I would say go for it, any of it. But if you're putting it out of your pocket and you still don't know that if tomorrow I sit for an interview and would that certification help me, my personal experience, I wouldn't do it. I did no certifications out of my pocket. Other than that, if they were given through scholarships, or, I was able to like get the prep materials and then give it myself someday. So that's my criteria for certification. Don't put too much pressure on your pocket for a certification. As part of my cohort, I have seen a lot of people without certification getting in at good organizations. I did nothing. I am at EY as well. So I wouldn't like put pressure on certification. But yes, as part of my internship, I did it at Department of Community Health back in Atlanta itself. And that really helped me get across cloud. And that's how I was interested in a cloud bits. And then with EY, I interviewed piggybacking on my prior experience only. That's where I thought maybe I'll play along it. I cannot pivot to a new field, but let me just get one role and then I can pivot to a new field in cybersecurity. So I got it based on my prior role, which I did back in India. And then I pivoted to audit. And that's where I'm happy. So if you are in a full-time role, you can easily pivot yourself, through internally going through positions and talking to your manager and stuff like that. So I'm hoping that helps with your question.
Thank you, Saman.
Yes.
And thank you for that question. We have two questions from the group, and then I want to close out with one more quick fire, rapid fire question. But Milkan, did I pronounce that correctly?
Yes, I'm Milka, yes.
Yes, great. Question?
Yeah. Hello guys, I'm Milka Nguyen. I'm pursuing my master in finance, so I really appreciate your time today to be with us. So I want to have question for anyone. So could you share an experience where a challenge pushed you to grow your skill and what you learned from it? Thank you.
Anyone want to take that?
I can.
Oh, Kayla.
Yeah. And the question was share an experience where a challenge allowed me to kind of showcase a new skill or kind of basically show what I had or showcase some skills that I had that maybe wouldn't have been showcased before. Is that right, Milka?
Yeah, yes. Yeah, Kayla.
So for me, I was a part of the implementation process for the client that I have now, which is the federal, the US, they're civilian and they're uniformed people. And we've had it where, and you'll see this if you're ever a part of an implementation, it's really a trial by fire, which is what I would tell anybody. But we had it where we had the meetings before, confirming what they were expecting to see with the database, what work was previously done by the previous record keeping system and all that stuff. And the day we went live, I remember it like it was yesterday, June 1st, 2022. We had a bunch of calls that we weren't expecting because there was something that they left out. There's HR agencies that call in for certain data, but we have, security in place and stuff like that because we're dealing with people's social security numbers and we're getting those calls nonstop. So I found out how to deal, I dealt with client management and even people who aren't, your direct clients, being able to temper off their anger, organizing their requests, also doing the aspect of, standing firm on whatever our business policies are and finding a way to kind of come to a common ground and then going into the planning piece. Okay, these people do need access. They don't have access. What can we do to organize? Well, we can get them on a list. We can get them on a list and then have their payroll agency sign off on them so that they are in the memorandum of understanding. Basically, that communication piece, which, you don't really expect that you'll have to use, but I'm good with dealing with, because I previously worked at Apple as a technical support advisor. And if you ever did call center work anyway, you know how to deal with people. That wasn't something I was expecting, especially the first day, but that was something I was able to do a good job at. And a lot of other teams who were working with the same clients, different payroll agencies, were able to take that back and say, okay, this is what we're going to do. So it's one of those things where you're able to expect the unexpected going into something like an implementation, and then being able to take a step back and think, okay, yeah, these people are upset for whatever reason. Okay, what can I do? What solution can I offer? Because the problem is they can't get the data, and the solution isn't I'm not gonna give them these people's data, but what can I offer them that they can be at least satisfied when they get off the phone and they can have something to look forward to as far as an end goal, dealing with that kind of thing. So people management, client management, and whatever you do, you're going to have to deal with people. So knowing that emotional intelligence piece is something that I would recommend having that down pat.
Thanks so much for that question and that answer, Kayla. Last question, and then I'll wrap up. Christopher.
Hey, y'all, thank you for being here. I'll try to make it quick because I see it's almost one. This is kind of a general question. I want to know if y'all had any advice in terms of networking, how to make, or do you have any tips on how to make a relationship feel more authentic without it feeling transactional? Because I feel like whenever you reach out to someone, it kind of that person might feel like you're like just using them in order to get to that next opportunity. So do you have any advice in terms of how to, make it feel more genuine, if that makes sense?
Thank you for that question. Neil?
I have on this networking thing like some mixed feelings because I have had networking attempts where I have been shut down completely by the other person, have attempts where I have been welcomed warmly with absolutely no help from that person, which is the worst kind, the kind that wastes your time. It's rather to be, said, have no response rather than someone promising to, spend some time with you and then standing you up and all of these things and so forth. And very few, maybe 5% of the cases are genuinely people trying to really counter network with you and help you. So I would approach the whole networking thing very carefully and try to focus on alumni relationships because that is a true relationships. And I no longer network pretty much unless it's a recruiter. I don't network for networking sake or for a job. I just network to expand my network. I try to see whether there is something mutual we can explore with that person. We had an area and I don't ask for anything when I network with them. I just say, hey, we are alumnus, whatever, from this, from Rice, from INSEAD, from JSU, from anywhere. I mean, or we are both Turkish. I find something common and I try to connect with that person and kind of see what that person is up to. I don't ask anything anymore because so many people, this is specific to the current situation. This may not be true at all times. There is just so much demand on the people who are in the kind of like desired positions, right? That they are no longer able to respond really to all of those demands. We have to understand that. So, you really have to stand out for them to want to respond to you. And you're not going to do that with your initial networking request. There is no way that's going to happen, you know? So you have to establish a relationship, maybe comment on something they have written, maybe spend some time browsing each other's profiles or meeting in some events. But you have to wait. You can't any longer just ask for something directly. You have to first build a rapport, I think. And there are a few contacts I have like that I correspond with them regardless. I just check how they're doing. I know their kids are back to school and so forth. Like I have nothing to ask them. I don't need to ask them anything right now, but I just keep in touch because they have turned out to be good people who try to get back to you. So that relationship is worth keeping. And in the future, if I need to ask them for something, yeah, great. Well, they will probably be helpful at that time. But that, the whole networking thing is a bit tricky right now.
I just want to say one thing just to add on to
Yes.
completely free. And then a lot of times you don't even realize the network you already have existing. You know what I mean? Like you'll meet people in your organization, you'll meet friends and stuff like that. And I think there's some kind of law, like everybody's connected, like we're one person away from knowing like President Obama or something like that, or maybe it's 8 people, something there. But you'd be surprised how many connections you have. Like even if you have a friend, like asking, you could have a conversation with them and maybe they have somebody you could set up a coffee chat. My friend has set me up with so many coffee chats and it's just been a conversation. I'm curious on what you do, and a lot of people love talking about themselves, hello. So people would love to tell you what they're doing, especially in their role. And it doesn't mean you ask anything from them. Sometimes they might offer like, what I know that there's a position, there might be positions opening up at my company, but really just going in for a conversation and then networking across and then not even always networking up, but maybe sometimes networking down, which, I don't know if I would use that word correctly, but the idea of looking for who you can help, right? What's something you can offer this person, organization. I keep going back to nonprofits because you'd be surprised. And it's something that looks really great on your resume. And there's a lot of opportunity to do some good work there. Not only good work as in it's good for other people, but you get a lot of hands-on opportunities because they don't have a lot of people coming in already. So those are some opportunities there as far as networking and doing it in an authentic way.
So thank
you.
Thank y'all so much. In the spirit of time, I don't want to go too much over. I know we're 4 minutes over, but I just want to formally thank our ambassadors that have joined us for this dynamic conversation. It felt like a conversation. Hopefully it felt like that to you all as students. And thank you for your questions. I didn't really get a chance to ask any of my guiding questions. So this is awesome. And just wanted to share what's coming up, and then we can close. But again, sincere thank you to our ambassadors that have joined us here today. Give me 1 second. Okay. All right, y'all. Is it gonna show up? Okay. Should show up in a moment. Yes. Okay, great. So our next event is our Elevate Your Efficiency, Time and Task Mastery for Leaders. We're excited about this one 2 weeks from today. If you have not signed up already, feel free to sign up by registering or scan the QR code in the corner, and you can get registered for that next event. We'll be having 3 more after that, 2 in October, 1 in November, where Alumni Networking Roundtable will actually be in person. But this has been amazing, and again, a great conversation for both our alumni and our current students. So thank you for joining, and without further ado, we'll close. So have a great rest of your day and a great rest of your week.
Thanks all. Bye-bye.
Thank you,
Thank
guys.
you. Thank
Hey,
you,
everyone.
Thank you all.